So yeah,
Oh man,
these are all. Look at all those brown people. Yeah.
yeah. So when I look at these pictures, man, it really kind of you've definitely taken diversity and inclusion, and you've really put some gasoline on that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the key is for me at my company, I did it at a time when I already had some street cred within the company, so I can be bold,
Ooh,
right?
that collar, pop that collar.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, look, you're not going to fire me. I know I've delivered. I know who I am. I'm not intimidated. I'm not afraid to lose my job. Now let me tell you what you're going to do, right? Because I have a voice, and I'm not the guy on the street who's, well, I'll tell you a couple. Can I tell you a couple of stories related to the whole black thing
Please
and
do.
being in
Please
corporate
do.
America?
Please
So
do,
I'm
because
not
we're B1 here, man. We're black first, so
great.
yeah.
So let me be black. So when when I first joined the company a long time ago, there was a brother who was leaving the company. He was in sales, and he's like, "I'm suing the company, racial discrimination, blah blah blah." And I was like, I was just new to the company, so I was like, I'm not going to join in your lawsuit. I'm just here. Who knows what your story is? He settled out of court, and the company says we're going to spend $100 million on improving things. So that happened. Oh, my phone is ringing. And then, roll forward, to the last couple of years, and George Floyd happens, right? And same thing, but inflation adjusted. It's 175 million instead of 100 million that we're going to spend, right? And it's like, okay, I get the game. And I had a few VPs talk to me, and first of all the white friends are, oh, how much you must feel bad. And I would just tell people, and I want to hear the story of your pain. And I would tell people, I'm not going to have this conversation with you because I'm not a monkey in the zoo. You don't get to observe me in my pain without sharing your own pain and your own guilt, right? And I had one VP who was, they're trying to be expressive and supportive of the Black community within Microsoft, and he said, it was painful for him to explain to his child the pain that the Black people were going through, and he's white. And I just said, you know what? I think the harder thing for you to explain is to your son is why you people are so violent. It's your problem. We don't have the problem. You guys are violent, and you need to deal with that. Right?
Preach. I mean, because when we look at things like this,
yeah,
these massacres that happened,
yeah.
when we look at things like that,
we weren't killing ourselves.
No, we look at these situations like this, and I have pictures of people who've been killed in, police violence when they were unarmed.
Yeah. Yeah. So the George Floyd thing happened, and I was like, I could not watch the video. I just couldn't. It was just like, I'm sorry, that's a bridge too far. I know what happened, but if I watch that, I'm going to go out and murder something. So I didn't watch the video, and I am not the guy who's going to go out on the Black Lives Matter marches and torching in the street and all that. That's not me. So what happened to me is I said, all right, it's wake up time, William. Yeah, you did the leap thing. That was great. That's awesome. That was the first step. What's your next step? How are you going to start spending your money? How are you going to start activating people for real, right? What's the next step? And part of it is I'm not going to educate all white people. That's not my job, right? I'm willing to have, and I have had very serious conversations with people, and it always starts with, I say, look, I'm willing to get naked with you. I'm willing to share raw emotions with you, but it's a two-way street, right? I'm not the monkey in the zoo. You can't observe me and then walk away without sharing something of yourself. So I've had very deep conversations about race and perspective and, all this sort of stuff. And it's very useful, but that's a sideshow. The real action is when you look at a place like the Caribbean, 30% poverty rate. You look at a place like Detroit, it's had better days. You look at a place like some school districts in Atlanta where they have 70% failure rate of African-American males. And you had to say, what am I going to do to help that situation? Right. And that's where I am today. It's like, and it's not about charity again. I'm not going to show up and say, hey, you get $100, you get $100. That doesn't do anything.
Right, right.
Right. You have to think deeply about how can I take what I've learned in my 40 years in tech and apply it to this situation such that I help them get a leg up if I can, right? Not everyone's going to appeal to the tech thing, but some of them will. So let me try to bring what I can bring and help people. I gotta get in there. I gotta get muddy. I gotta spend my treasure, and I gotta spend my time, and I have to give my emotion, and I have to be empathetic, or else none of it works, right? So there you go.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you're 56.
Yeah.
Now the
I'm 57. I just had a birthday.
Hey,
see, that's what happens with age. You forget.
So the George Floyd, the Tamir Rice, those types of events, the Breonna Taylor events, and that did cause I guess, an awakening.
Yeah.
In American consciousness, possibly world consciousness, because I saw pictures in India and Africa and Malaysia where they were marching for George Floyd. Were there any things pre-pandemic that really started that passion? Because you really just talked about how that George Floyd time period really ignited it, but there had to be someone to set some embers there beforehand.
For me personally, there's always been, I grew up in the 60s, so there's always been in my life stuff going on with civil rights and there's always been stuff. So seeing someone shot, killed, lynched by the police or anyone else, none of it's new, right? None of this is new. So what was different? And the difference, I think there's two things. One is my age. I'm old enough that I'm evolved. In my earlier days, I was very focused on getting the dollar, raising the family, getting the house, paying the car. You're occupied, you're distracted, right? George Floyd comes in. Now I was a little bit awake. I did have enough awakeness to say, hey, we're going to do this LEAP program. I care about other people. Let's get some women and minorities in here. But that's half awake. George Floyd came at a time when we're home for COVID. Everybody has high-def video cameras, and you could not walk away from it. You could not distract yourself enough to get away from it, right? If we didn't have COVID, it would be like, police kill black man. Now, in other news, back to the football game, back to baseball, back to, we have so many distractions. This time around, I was like, damn, there's nothing else on TV. I guess I got to watch this 15 times in high def, right? And then people just flipped, and they're just like, damn it, I'm sick of this shit. Enough, right? Enough is enough. And we erupted, right? And you're right in that it wasn't, George Floyd was not violent. I mean, it's like, you just choked a brother out on the street in front of the world. We're not going to stand for that. Sorry. Time for change. And